Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible blueprint that honestly keeps our cities standing, the National Building Code of the Philippines. Yeah, it's the rulebook for basically every single building you've ever set foot in. Let's get into it.
But really, stop and think about that for a second. You walk through a city, you're surrounded by these massive skyscrapers, huge malls, all our homes. What's the invisible force that's actually holding all of it together and, keeping us safe?
I mean, sure, steel and concrete are a huge part of it, obviously. But the real strength, the thing that gives our cities their backbone, it's something you can't even see. It's a set of rules, a framework, with one single, supercritical purpose.
And that's it right there, the National Building Code. At its heart, it's not about bureaucracy or red tape. It's a rulebook designed from the ground up to protect every single one of us.
So that brings up a good question. Why? Why was this code even created? What problem was so big that it needed this massive rulebook to solve it? To get that, we have to look at its core mission.
And what's so cool is how simple and direct the code's mission is. Right there in Section 102, it says its purpose is to safeguard life, health, property, and public welfare. That's it. No complicated legal jargon, just a straight-up promise of safety.
The code really came about because the country was just growing fast. Cities were expanding, the population was booming, and the old laws just couldn't keep up. So the government needed one single, modern, uniform set of standards to make sure all this new construction was being done safely.
Okay, but a rulebook is only as good as the people who enforce it, right? So who are these guardians? Who's responsible for making sure these standards are actually being met all across the country? Well, it pretty much boils down to two key roles. Think of the Secretary of Public Works as the rulemaker. They're at the national level, setting the big picture policies and standards for the whole country. And then you've got the local building official. They're the referee on the ground in your town or city. They're the ones issuing permits and checking every nail and beam on a construction site to make sure it follows the rules.
So, how do these rules and these people actually make a building safe? Let's follow the journey of a building, from just an idea on a blueprint to a place where people can actually live and work.
It's basically a three-step process. First, as you can see, you've got the building permit. You can't even dig a hole without one. This makes sure the plans are safe from day one. Second, while the building is actually being built, there have to be constant professional inspections. And finally, before anyone can move in, the building official has to issue a certificate of occupancy. That's the final green light, the official stamp that says, yep, this place is built right and it's safe.
All right, let's zoom in on two of the most important safety rules in the code. They focus on two really simple ideas: how a building is used and what happens if there's a fire.
This is probably one of the most fundamental concepts in the entire code. It's called occupancy classification. The idea is so simple, but so smart. Not all buildings are used the same way, so they shouldn't all be built with the same rules.
And this table shows you exactly what that means. A house, that's Group A, has some basic safety needs, but a school, that's Group C. Now you've got to think about how hundreds of kids are going to get out safely. Then you have something like a concert hall, Group I, that requires the absolute highest standards for crowd control and fire resistance. See, the use completely dictates the rules.
And speaking of fire resistance, what does that even mean? The code defines it as the degree to which a material can literally stand up to a fire. And it's not a guess. It's a measured, tested quality.
Here's a really easy way to get it. Think of a material's fire-resistive rating as a safety countdown timer. So when the code says a wall needs to have a 1-hour or 2-hour rating, it means that wall has been tested and proven to hold back a fire for that long. That gives people crucial time, minutes, even hours, to get out safely.
So, what happens when someone decides to ignore these incredibly important rules? Well, this code isn't just a friendly set of suggestions. It's a law, and it has some serious teeth.
The code makes it crystal clear: if you violate its provisions, you are breaking the law. It's an unlawful act, plain and simple.
The penalties can get pretty severe, starting with a maximum fine of 20,000 pesos.
And it's definitely not just about the money. Violations can also land you in prison for up to 2 years, or sometimes it's both the fine and the jail time.
But beyond all that, the building official has some serious power. If a building is found to be dangerous, they can order everyone out, force repairs, or in the absolute worst-case scenario, they can order it to be completely demolished.
So, the next time you walk into any building, just for a second, take a look around. Notice how wide the hallways are, where the fire exits are placed.
You're not just looking at a building anymore. You're seeing this blueprint for safety in action, all these invisible rules designed to protect you. So after all this, the next time you step inside, what will you see differently?